G'day everyone, welcome back to another live hangout here at Voice Essentials. I hope you are having a good time of it wherever you are on the face of the planet. For many of you it's Sunday evening, so I hope your weekend has been going well. I can report, having gone ahead of many of you, we're past midday on a Monday here in Brisbane, Australia, and it's a pretty lovely day here. We're in the middle of winter, as many of you would know, here in Brisbane, Australia, and it is a lovely 27 degrees Celsius here. I know, like, how ridiculous is that? It's a gorgeous winter's day. I don't want it to get any warmer, I have to say. I don't want it any warmer. We can just sit here, and this will be lovely, thank you very much. And I've just left a comment for Linda in the chat. Linda is our moderator. If you're new to the show, Linda is being blown off the face of the planet down in Tasmania right now. It's all over the news. In the weather reports, Tassie is receiving what they're referring to, Linda, and certainly on the ABC, is they're suggesting that you've got cyclone level winds down there, 100-kilometer wind gusts and what have you. So stay safe, Linda, and yeah, stay out of the wind. We are going to be doing a mini topic today. Hey, make sure you let us know where you're from, and let us know what the weather is like in your neck of the woods. We are going to be doing a mini topic today. And that doesn't say we won't get to answering some questions towards the end. So if you do have questions that you would like answered, certainly leave them in the live chat, and Linda will take those down should we have time at the end of the session. If we don't, we'll hold the questions over until next week, when we'll do a standalone Q&A. So by all means, leave your questions, because we do our best to get to them. And if you absolutely must have it answered today, for example, because you know you won't be available to jump on and watch the show live in the next few weeks, then put a super chat with it, and we will prioritize that. All of the super chat proceeds go towards running the live show. And as I've said before, that is not a cheap thing to do. In fact, the mini topic we're doing today is almost a full repeat of the mini topic we did, 8 weeks ago, when the show, technically fell over because my internet connection died. And long story short, I went about spending about $1,000 in upgrading some gear. To be honest with you, I'm not sure whether that was absolutely necessary, but I wanted to kind of tick all the boxes and leave no stone unturned. And I'm hoping that that it's going to be fine today. So it's been fine ever since. But long story short, this is not a cheap exercise. And so your super chats are very gratefully received. They do help us continue to do these live hangouts. We've been doing these live hangouts for years now. I've got no sort of thought of not continuing with them, and certainly till the end of the year we'll keep going. And because I love hanging out with you as a community here at Voice Essentials, and that'll, I think, come into play in our discussion of today's live topic, which I don't want to spend any more time sort of talking about. I kind of want to start talking to the topic, and we're going to do that right now, because what I want to talk to today is I want to talk about recharging your passion for singing. And you might go, recharge, but I'm fully passionate about this. Yeah, so am I. I've been doing this for a long time, this singing thing, I've been teaching voice for nearly 29 years, I think. I professionally sang for 25 years. So I know what it is to be passionate about my singing. But I also know there have been times in my journey where the passion, the flame, if you will, just dies off a little. And there have been a number of things that I have learnt to do at times to recharge that battery, to recharge my passion. And I wanted to share 10 things with you that I think will be helpful, not just for if you're in that moment right now and right now you feel like your passion is a little bit on the low side, but for when you do, not if, but when you hit those periods of time, and they are only periods of time. They need not be for eternity. These need only be seasons, chapters that you go through where you need that little bit of recharge, that little bit of inspiration to move you into that next phase of energized singing. And so I wanted to talk us through those things today. And I wanted to start off by talking about reflecting on your initial motivation. I think this is really important. It's important to start with where you started. What was it that caused you to start singing in the first place? I can still remember being in my primary school choir. So not doing a solo. I think I might have been given small solo parts at that time, but the thing that sticks out to me, or the thing that I remember, is the sensation physically, and I dare say emotionally, for as emotionally connected as I think I probably was 8 years old, that sensation that I felt when my voice joined with others, and just the sense of freedom that I experienced, and they're those sorts of memories that I hold on to, that I remind myself of, and even as I'm talking about it, I can't help but smile, because there's such wonderful, positive experiences as to why I started singing. And you will have similar experiences also that you can identify as to why you started singing in the first place. And then as you get older, if like me, you started back when you were in primary school, you probably didn't have any goals associated with your singing. It was simply you sang, and that was fun, and it was something to do with a lunchtime with some friends. But as we get older, we start to set goals around that, don't we? We start to identify different things that we want to do with our singing. And for those of you who perhaps have started with your singing later in life, and I teach many singers who fall into that category, the goal might simply be to explore the idea that, well, can I sing? Maybe you've spent decades of your childhood into your teenage years, into adulthood, perhaps being told that you couldn't, and now you want to explore whether you can. I'm gonna let the cat out of the bag. You can. Everyone can, and if you want to, you should. And if you're watching this channel, you probably already know that. So, identify what are those goals that you have set for yourself. It might be to have a live performance for the first time, just to sing a song in front of other human beings. There's no right or wrong goals with singing. It really comes down to you and what you want to do. But reminding yourselves of these things can really be helpful in recharging your motivation, recharging your passion. And then it's helpful to reflect back on old goals. But sometimes you want to think about, well, what are perhaps some new goals that I can set? For example, perhaps you achieve the goal of singing live, singing a song. Maybe it's at your teacher's, studio performance, their showcase. And so you tick that box. Oh, well, what do you do now? Well, you set a new goal. And so it might simply be to do that again and prove to yourself that it wasn't a fluke, that it wasn't a one-off, that you can actually do this again and again and again. The important thing with your goals is you need them to be specific, achievable, and measurable. Don't set sort of, blasé goals of, oh, well, maybe one day. Here in Australia, we have a theme park called Dream World. It's actually only about an hour's drive south of me. And when I was growing up, Dream World had a slogan, if you will, a marketing slogan, but it basically said, don't say one day, that day will never come. And that's identifying, for a theme park, they're wanting to identify that if you don't make your goal specific, then it's likely to not turn out very well. Be specific. Set a date to go to Dreamworld. Set a date to step onto stage for the first, the second, the third time. And these are going to be really positive in setting goals because they provide you with new challenge. And when you have new challenge, it can re-inspire, it can recharge, re-energize your passion. There's nothing like a little bit of friction to give you forward momentum. And we want and need that little bit of tension, that little bit of friction to give us that sense of moving forward. And there's nothing like a new challenge to do that. Here's one that I want to really encourage, and it is an opportunity to remind you about our community here at Voice Essentials. Join a community that is of like-minded people. It gives you an opportunity to connect with other singers and musicians. Here at Voice Essentials, we hang out here every Monday, most Mondays, 1 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Take a look at your clock right now, your watch, and about 13 minutes ago, your local time is when we start every Monday, or for you it might be Sunday. Hang out with us, set a time, get involved with the chat, leave your comments. We over the last number of years have built a wonderfully inclusive, encouraging, supportive environment for us to gather as like-minded people who are equally passionate about our singing, but also about encouraging one another with that singing. And when you're encouraged, when you receive that encouragement, it empowers your passion. And there's a saying that I remember from my uni days, and that is, those who grow alone grow weird. and there is some truth to that, right? If you take a burning log out of a fire, take it away from the other logs, it'll soon die down. That flame will die down to an ember, and then it'll just go out all by itself. If you keep that log in the fire with the other burning logs, then you have more chance of keeping that flame alive. And I want to encourage you to stay in your local community. And if you don't already have one, then Voice Essentials is a great way to do that here as a part of the live show, but also as a part of the Facebook group. If you search Voice Essentials Community Group, I think that's what it is. I don't have to search it. I've just got it bookmarked in Facebook. If you go to Voice Essentials community, you'll find us, and you just become a part of the group. Accept the group rules. There are some little rules that you have to acknowledge and accept, and then you just become a part of the group, and you can share your performances, you can comment on others, and it's a wonderful way for us to interact as a collective, because and that's, I've just seen that word there, in the encouragement. You can't underestimate the impact of the encouragement of people from across the globe. And I think this is one of the wonderful things about online communities, is you're going to come into contact with people, you know, like Kathy Snyder, who's a moderator on the Facebook group. She's in Canada. Linda's down in Tasmania. I'm in Brisbane. We've got people from you know, Mexico and Japan and Brazil and the USA and UK. There are people from all over the world who are going to engage with you. And so I want to encourage you to become a part of our community, or another community that you can feel comfortable engaging with. Number 4, this is a good one. Attend live performances. I, as you know, have just started. Well, do I say I've just started? Because I've now, I think there's about, you know, climbing close to 20 reaction videos that I've now done. And I have to say, you know, for those of you who have followed along with Voice Essentials with me, Dr. Dan, for many years, you know that I've had some things to say about reaction videos. They have made me uncomfortable within the educational sphere, in part because I'm an educator. I like to think that our time together, when you watch one of my videos, that there is a level of entertainment to it. But equally, my first and foremost approach is to educate. And I've always struggled with the reaction video thing. Anyway, that aside, I've started doing them. And do you know what I am enjoying about the process of, you know, doing them for you, and is that I'm watching a lot of performances that and really having to engage quite intentionally with and listen carefully to. You know, I'm really enjoying that aspect of it, because it's reinvigorating my own passion for singing. It is, and I'm not saying that just because we've reached this point. There's something about being inspired by other singers who I'm watching, you know, sometimes taking their voices right out onto the edge, and just abandoning themselves to the moment, and I think, man, that's cool to watch, and it reignites, it recharges my passion. So please jump on, watch my reaction videos, because I think you might get the same value. Let's turn our attention to just attending live concerts. Did you see just the other day, it was reported in our media in the last couple of days, that the Taylor Swift concert, I can't remember exactly where it was, recently registered on the Richter scale. It was a seismic event. It registered 2 point something on the Richter scale. It actually got measured, which is a bit scary. I hope people don't try and compete to better that. We could have stadium falling down, but that's amazing. Isn't that amazing? And I think that just goes to show the sort of energy that we can get from going to a live music concert. And if you're into Tay-Tay, then Taylor Swift you might even be going to one of the Taylor Swift concerts in your local area if it's coming to this. She's not coming to Brisbane. There's been a lot of controversy over that, but she's not coming to Brisbane. And the other thing it can do is it can expose you to new styles, new techniques, You can, and I've just been watching, as a part of me doing these reaction videos, some of the requests that I'm receiving from people watching the reaction videos, going, oh, hey, would you consider doing a reaction video to this person? And I've gone and watched them and gone, wow, that's different. And not wrong, just I've never seen that or heard that before. And that's cool. That can be really exciting to find yourself going through. Now, this one might come across as being, you think to yourself, why would Dr. Dan be encouraging me to go and have lessons with a different teacher? Because on the surface of it, that quite obviously means I'm suggesting you might need to go and have some input from someone other than myself. Remember, I just said I'm an educator at heart. Ultimately, my main drive for you is that your voice develops. That is what I'm all about. And to achieve that, I want you to drink from as many fountains as you possibly can or need to. I've had a little saying in my teaching career, and that is, every singing teacher has something to give you. Everyone. Some have more to give you than others, and that is true. But every singing teacher, I am not that singing teacher who says when you arrive in my studio to receive lessons, I don't say, look, leave everything you've ever learnt at the door, forget everything, we're going to start from scratch. I think that's incredibly narcissistic. I think that every singer is the sum total of their journey. And if I'm privileged enough to come alongside a student, a person who is learning singing for a period of time, and provide my input, my encouragement, my instruction into their journey, then that's a tremendously privileged position, and I to the best of my ability try to apply that with humility and with grace. But there is not one singer on the planet who has only ever had singing lessons from me, and they'll never have singing lessons from anyone else. In fact, that's going to be very restrictive, isn't it? Because I don't know everything. I can't know everything, won't ever know everything. And so when we take, advice from multiple sources, quality sources, I'm not saying just take it from anyone, but when we take instruction from a variety of spaces, then we're able to bring that together to inform our voice and to re-inspire our passion for our singing, because it's nice to have a shiny new singing teacher at times. I think that can be a really positive thing. And they often offer new perspectives, new fresh insights, not only into the world of voice, but into your world of voice, what your voice does. And, when I'm working with students for the first time, for a long period of time, it is possible for us to become fixated on certain things. And if you're able to step away and look at new, fresh things, then that can be really positive as well. And every singing teacher has a unique style. I've got a unique style. Others teach differently to me. That doesn't make anyone better, right, wrong, worse. It's just different. And you need to, go looking for those suitability, opportunities for you to really connect and intersect with a singing teacher to really benefit you vocally and to reignite your passion, as we keep saying. Okay, participate in workshops or masterclasses. So you might be thinking, but I love my singing teacher. And If you're my student, I hope that is what you're saying. I don't want to leave, Dr. Dan. And you know, you don't have to, but workshops and masterclasses do give you exactly the same opportunity to go and engage with a different voice, a different instructor, someone saying probably the same thing, just a different way, for you to observe different approaches, and that can also inspire. So you don't have to throw the baby out with the bathwater, or in this case, the singing teacher out with the lesson. You can actually have both, and you can. There are groups like the Australian National Association for Teachers of Singing, ANATS. There is NATS in the US. There's the BVA in the UK. There's the EV, European Voice, I think, EVA, European Voice Association, EVA. There are many groups, associations who run really great workshops that you can attend. You just need to look them up and find, well, where is it in my local group can I go along, and these, you know, for example, with ANATS, a good chunk of the workshops that are run for singing teachers, but often those same workshops are equally applicable to you just sitting in, being a fly on the wall and watching a singing teacher work with a singer, because that's often what the masterclasses are doing. They're just a singing teacher showing other singing teachers what they would do with said singer in front of them. And that could be a really wonderful experience for you to see other people working. And the other positive thing, and actually I must admit I've used professional associations like ANATS and the AVA, the Australian Voice Association, for this exact reason. It creates an awesome opportunity for networking, and for you to connect with, again, other like-minded people who are uber passionate enough to take time out from their weekend, often maybe travel to a different city to go to these workshops, to go to these conferences and masterclasses. And that can be such a positive thing. I remember when I first started really getting involved with ANATS, you know, I'd come up through the ranks at the Queensland Conservatorium of Music, and I'd been really taught that there was one way or the highway. And I started to be exposed to different ideas, new ideas. Oh, but my singing teacher said, and this person then said, and how does that affect me and my thoughts, my voice? Oh, wow. Oh, maybe they're both right. Maybe they're saying the same thing, but if I can learn to hold that in a really positive tension, maybe I can even get more value out of both of them sitting separately. You get my point, right? These are all moments that you can hear. I mean, even as I'm talking about that, it's inspiring. It charges your passion for your singing. And at times when your voice and you are perhaps at a low ebb, where things are just like, I'm just not feeling it, then at times there's a need to be quite proactive around your development, around your passion. Because, look, here's the thing. No one's going to come along and recharge your passion for you. You are going to have to step up to the plate and activate these things that we're talking through. You're going to have to make decisions to book that masterclass or attend that concert. But I have a sneaking suspicion you won't regret it when you do. You might want to think about experimenting with other genres. And that's not to say that you're going to start, like maybe you sing jazz. You love jazz. I was watching, one of my students sent me a great recording of K.D. Lang doing a jazz piece recently, and it was just wonderful. It was wonderful because it was really low production level, The recording was really clean, and her performance was outstanding. But it was just raw, and I loved it. It was in recognition and memory of Tony Bennett's passing last week, and so, listening to that fabulous recording of jazz and engaging with that, you might go, well, that's cool, but I'm a bit over jazz. I think I would prefer to sing. Can I experiment with country? Now that's going to require you to spend a bit of time listening to country if that's not something that you used to, really getting into. Well, country's got a whole different approach to voice than jazz, a whole different history. And so you're going to have to be really intentional in your listening and in your learning new tunes. There's a bit of work to be done here, isn't there? And so when you start to engage in different genres, that's not to say that that's going to be because you're now going to go and become a country singer, though that could happen. But I tell you what, that little journey off into the world of country, do you know what it will do? It will backflow. It will inform your development of your jazz style, if that's what you continue to sing. And so I really encourage you, don't only spend all of your time in your own genre, especially if that genre has become quite stale to you. Explore, remind yourself of that feeling that comes with discovering something new. Because as you might recall, that's pretty exciting. And this is all going to lay out really fresh vocal challenges for you, because there are going to be different skills that you need to develop in order to be in keeping with that different genre. Jazz is not country, is not rock, is not music theatre, is not pop. They've all got different nuances. They can all be served with the same contemporary style appropriate technique that underpins them, but then the stylization, that the vocal effects, those things that are nuanced towards each genre, they're all very different, and you have to be really intentional about those, and it can be really fun to explore that. This is a hard one for many of you, and this is number 8. We've got 2 more to go after this. And this is, it's not only, I think, challenging to hear yourself, especially if you're not used to it, but it also comes with a level of caution, if you will. Because most of us these days are going to find ourselves, certainly in the initial stages, recording ourselves onto onto our mobile device, our phone, maybe our tablet, maybe our computer. But it's easily accessible now, isn't it? Recording. Just be mindful that when you do that there is a level of processing, digital processing, that your phone is designed to automatically do. You cannot turn this off. When you record your voice, there is a level of compression and limiting and normalization that goes on that does have an effect on not the quality of sound as far as good, bad, or ugly, but the quality of the tonal sound that is not a true representation of what you just did acoustically. That is not to say that you can't use it and you can't use it to your advantage. You certainly can. You can use it to track progress. You can use it to identify areas that you need to develop in. You can definitely use it to develop your pitch accuracy. Just be aware that if you're singing the latest well, I mentioned her before. Let's just say you're practicing the latest Taylor Swift song, and you record yourself doing that. You are never, it is never ever, if you record it onto your phone, it is never ever going to sound even remotely close to the quality of what you hear Taylor Swift's songs sound like, even when you play it through the speakers on your same phone. Because Taylor has been in a multi-million-dollar studio, and that's just the room, singing into equipment and into a signal chain that we can only imagine the type of things that have been done to that vocal line to make her sound that good. I'm not saying she doesn't sound amazing as she is, but even Taylor Swift ain't going to sound like Taylor Swift if she just sings into her mobile phone, because of it's just the harsh reality of the tech. So just remember that when you record yourself onto your phone, you've got to be measured against the context, and that's really important. And I always want to, impress upon you that thing. But remember it, by listening back to yourself for certain aspects and contextually measuring it, it can help to motivate you further, as you hear yourself developing, which is why in my lessons, I record my lessons for my students here in the studio, because even though it is just a raw room recording into a couple of shotgun mics, there is value in being able to reflect back on those recording experiences. Two more. The last one being, I want to give you permission. You don't need my permission, but sometimes it's good to have someone give you permission. Take a break. Remember, we're talking here about recharging your passion for singing. And sometimes it is time for you to take some time off. Sometimes if you continue to bash your head up against a particular brick wall, you're gonna hurt yourself. You could burn out. And what we don't ever want to get to a point is where you drive yourself so hard that you actually kill off any opportunity for the reignition of your passion. We don't want your pilot flame to go out. But for that pilot flame to not go out, it might just be necessary for you to take a step away. Now, that might mean you step away for a week. Could be just days. It could be months. But whatever it is, I think you'll know when it's time to step back in, when it's time to get back into it. I purposefully, in the last number of years, my downtime is over the festive Christmas period. I go away camping. A lot of people take their guitars, to sing around the campfire at camping trips. I don't take any music. My kids are often got music on, playing on their devices into speakers, and that's cool. But I often need some downtime, and I do that on an annual basis. I get right away from music. You might go, shock, horror. Dr. Dan doesn't listen to music 24/7 all year round. No, I can't. I can't. That would just burn me out. Now, you might be different to me. In fact, I know you are different to me. But in this aspect, you might be completely different to me. Maybe you can go, full tilt, 365 days a year. And if you can, more power to you. I think that's awesome. I can't. And I want to give those of you who also can't, I want you to know you can just take a break when it's necessary. Because I want you to prevent that burnout. I don't want your pilot flame to go out. And when you do take that time off, your battery can recharge. Part of the recharge process is all about not giving out. It's not just spending the energy that you have. We're a tank. We need to refill. You know, if you think about that battery analogy, you know, when you have been using your mobile phone all day, the battery's going to get pretty flat. It's got to come back home, sit on the recharge, not be used, and re-establish that charge so that it's good to go the next day. In many respects, and I know there's limits to this, but in many respects, we're not dissimilar. Finally, I want you to think, this is almost going to sound like contradictory to what we just talked about, but it's not, because we're talking about taking time off as a set time. But in general, look at ways that you can incorporate music into your daily life, not for the purpose of learning, you know, for your passion of singing, but just to have music around. When I wash my car, and I am a little bit finicky with my car, I do like to give it a good detail. It takes me hours because I am very finicky. You know, I polish and I buff and but you know what I've got playing while I'm doing that? I've got a playlist, Spotify playlist that goes for hours, and it's just music in the background, but I'll often be singing, just singing along. I'm not thinking about my singing. I'm thinking about, detailing the car. But the music's there. It's joyous. It is just there, and I love it. It's stuff I've been listening to since I was a teenager, and it's just wonderful. I'm sure there are aspects of your life where music can play a similar role, where you can build it into your everyday routine, whether it be doing the dishes, whether it be on your way to work and in the bus, or the train, or even while you're just relaxing. Think of ways that you can just turn music on. Not for any purpose other than it's just there in the background. And I think you'll find when you then have that, it's going to reinvigorate your practice for singing, because it'll just have been sitting there as fuel, like a fuel load that pilot light that we've been talking about can reactivate, recharge, re-energize your singing. So there you go, folks. 10 ways that we can recharge your passion. I really wanted today's session, our mini topic, to be an encouragement to you, to be an inspiration. Look, it's not rocket science, is it? I haven't just shared with you, the most outstanding, wisdom that you've ever heard. Of course I haven't. But it's good to be reminded of these things. These things you already know. But for us to go through them and for us to have these there as a reminder for when we are not in our best place with our singing, and take the time off if we need, or change things up. These things are going to help re-establish our passion for our singing. I hope that is helpful to you, and I'm very much looking forward to hearing how your passion goes. And maybe you can leave a comment in the live chat. By all means, leave a comment in the video today. We're not going to get to any Q&A because I've obviously babbled on for a good half an hour. We don't have time for Q&A. I'm going to hold the Q&A over till next week, so please come and join us next week, 1 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Hey, leave me a thumbs up if you enjoyed today's mini topic. We're going to be doing a couple more of these over the next few weeks and months, and I hope you're getting something out of them as we sort of, just unpack a topic for a period of time. And I really want it to be helpful to you, helpful to us as a community. And I hope to see you again soon. I hope you have a great week. And again, if you're not already a part, jump over onto the Facebook group. Come and hang out with us, and we'll catch each other again soon. I'm Dr. Dan. Sing well.